Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's session of Daily Current Affairs with Sathya sir. This is me, Sathya, speaking from IQ Ideas. And as usual, I bring today's newspaper with current affairs updates, interesting articles to be read for improving English and vocabulary. So, without further ado, let's jump into the news for today. The main headlines is cash removed after private secretary spoke to Verma. So this is regarding some corruption scam or something, but doesn't seem to be very interesting. Just seems to be a masala news. I won't be going in detail as far as current affairs updates are concerned. Then we have Trump's okayed Iran attack plan pending final order report. It's a small news, but it says that US President Donald Trump told senior aides late Tuesday that he approved attack plans for Iran, but had withheld a final order to see if Tehran would abandon its nuclear program. The Wall Street Journal reported on Wednesday, citing three people familiar with the deliberations, according to Reuters. Okay, so just some claims from the US president regarding the Israel Iran tensions, I guess. Some update regarding the controversy surrounding Kamal Hassan's comments, because of which the release of his film in Karnataka was in dispute. Other than that, after Iran, India extends Operation Sindhu to Israel too. So Operation Sindhu was the evacuation of people affected by the war in Iran, I think, and I think the Indian government says that it is going to evacuate from Israel as well. Okay, so nothing major. Moving on to the city page, information, a lot of information regarding updates on the aftermath of the June 12th Boeing crash. The next page, a lot of it is devoted to rain and the woes that the citizens face because of that. The next city page also doesn't seem to have any national level important news. In the state level information, the main thing is Croc Croc Charuttar wetlands witness jaw dropping raise. Basically, I think it's the increase in the reptile population, where it says that the numbers rise from 130 to 549 in 10 years. Nothing much on these pages. In the nation page, again, there seem to be just fluff pieces mainly, where on the left we have differences with Congress brass, says Tharoor. Okay, in fighting, Telangana village on suicide watch saves 300 lives in 3 years. Privacy a fundamental right, but subject to reasonable curbs. Okay, so this article seems to be something which might be relevant for students who are preparing for law entrance examinations, if not anything in the language. So privacy a fundamental right, but subject to reasonable curbs. And this is the pronouncement of the High Court. It allows WhatsApp chats obtained without consent as evidence in divorce case. Okay, so the news is from Bhopal, where in a ruling that could shape how digital evidence is treated in matrimonial disputes. So the meaning of the word matrimonial, anything related to marriage. Okay, so in a case related to matrimonial disputes, Madhya Pradesh High Court has upheld the admissibility of WhatsApp chats between spouses even if obtained without consent. Okay. Right to privacy is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution, but it is not absolute and can be subject to reasonable restrictions, particularly if it clashes with the right to a fair trial, which too is a constitutional guarantee, the bench of Justice Ashish Roti observed in a recent order. So, a couple of takeaways from this thing. One is the right to privacy is a fundamental right under Article 21 of the Constitution of India. Then we also know that right to a fair trial is also a constitutional guarantee. Interesting. Okay. So I would strongly recommend law aspirants to go through this particular news, as it can be used as an article for generating questions in the legal aptitude section of the CLAT. Okay. Then moving on to the next nation page, updates on the unrest in Manipur. Again, India-Pak leaders ended conflict, says Trump. Wow. This must be a little bit of masala, where it says the US president walks back on claim. Okay. Let's read this just out of interest. Two very smart leaders of India and Pakistan decided to end last month's conflict that could have turned into a nuclear war, US President Donald Trump said after holding a rare luncheon meeting with Pakistan Army Chief Field Marshal Asim Munir at the White House. The comments were seen at variance with his claims over a dozen times in the last few weeks that he brokered the India-Pakistan ceasefire deal. Okay, so to be at variance, an interesting phrase. To be at variance is to be at a difference, to have a difference of opinion. We obviously know what a ceasefire is: cessation of hostile activities between two or more entities. This unusual display of self-restraint by the US president is not squeezing himself in the frame immediately attract attention in India, because it followed PM Narendra Modi's Tuesday conversation with Trump, in which the Indian leader had made plain that India would never let anybody meddle in its dealings with Pakistan. Great. So let's see how the pundits, political pundits and others spin this particular news, but that's going to be a very interesting news debate to see on channels, if at all it comes, which I definitely believe would, because President Trump has often claimed that he has brokered peace deals between this and that and everything. And on the front page itself, we saw how there was some update regarding his claims regarding the Israel and Iran conflict. So after time and again claiming that it was he who brokered the peace in the aftermath of Operation Sindhu, now apparently he has backtracked after Indian PM Narendra Modi visited. Interesting. Okay. The next page of Nation News. Canada intel separatists using our soil as base to target India. That's a dangerous piece of news, because the separatist movement, the Khalistan movement, if you are aware of that, where people of a certain community want a separate country of their own, and which is definitely not supported by India. And there are a lot of news regarding extremists behind this demand. So now the intelligence, the news has come from Canada that separatists are using the soil as the base to target India. So Canadian Security Intelligence Service CSIS report released on Wednesday acknowledged the presence of Khalistani extremists in Canada who use the country as a base for promotion, fundraising or planning of violence, primarily in India. It underlined that only a small group of individuals are seen as Khalistani extremists. The report was released shortly after Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Canadian PM Mark Carney met on the sidelines of the G7 summit. So that's a very interesting update which has come as a result of Prime Minister Modi being invited to participate in the G7 summit. Okay, the next Nation page. SC put stop to bulldozer justice. CJI at Italy meet. It violates citizens' fundamental right to shelter under Article 21. So a lot of fundamental rights we have come across in various news articles today. So let's update that on the news list as well, right? Fundamental right to shelter is also under Article 21. So highlighting the Supreme Court's contribution in the last 75 years to accelerate political, economic and social justice to the poor and marginalized, Chief Justice of India B.R. Gawai on Thursday told an assembly of top judges of Italy how the top court recently banned bulldozer justice and prevented executive from becoming judge, jury and executioner. Okay, so that's an interesting phrase, to become judge, jury and executioner. It's a phrase where it means that a single person or a single entity takes it upon themselves to try a case, to give the verdict and also carry out the sentence. Basically, it does not allow the due process of the land to be executed. It takes upon itself to completely decide the crime, to convict somebody and also to deal in the punishment part. Right. So students of law, aspirants for law can definitely read this particular article. After that, in the next Nation page, small things, a couple of news articles related to the Air India incident. You can just go through that out of interest. Next, we come to my favorite page, the middle page for vocabulary and reading. The main thing on top is by a columnist, Stephen Sahyuni, who's a columnist based in Latakia. It reads Five Ways to West Asian Meltdown. And he's a Syrian analyst who argues that there are worryingly large number of ways the Iran-Israel war can become a regional conflagration with serious global economic implications. So, what is a conflagration? A conflagration is a fire which burns very heavily, right? A heavy burn of fire is called a conflagration. Great word. So, for those interested in geopolitics news, I would very strongly recommend read this particular opinion piece. Below that, the cost of Indians being too crazy about cricket. This is by Chetan Bhagat, IIT IIM alumnus and celebrated writer. The byline reads, "It's not just a stampede. Young people's obsession with the sport make them waste critical years of their life. They must understand they are just anonymous cogs in a marketing machine." Right. So the interesting word is cogs, or small parts. Basically, cogs of a gear. Cogs are basically you are just a small part of a larger machine. And I would definitely recommend students, especially those who are sports crazy, cricket crazy, to read this opinion piece. On the left, the first one, nuclear danger. Nuclear danger. Okay, great pun on words. Hitting working nuclear facilities, as Israel is doing and US may do, is reckless given the chance of radiation leak. Okay, that's going to be an interesting piece. And at the very end of the article, there's a reference to something called the doomsday clock. Now, that's a very interesting concept where you can go online and check what is the concept of a doomsday clock. It's actually a clock. Below that, President Strangelove. Okay, Dr. Strangelove was a very, very famous movie decades back. And President Strangelove, even by realpolitik standard, US loving terror sponsor Pak is a new low. India should assume worse will come. So, in this article, other than the article itself, what is the meaning of the word realpolitik? Read that. And below that, Jugular Vein, the humor column by Jack Suraya, is double talk, the use of language as a form of deliberate miscommunication. So the middle page is going to be pretty interesting today. The next Times special page is devoted to Delhi government wants to create a vibrant riverfront like in Ahmedabad across the 22 kilometers course of the Yamuna in the city. Experts, however, feel government should first revive the river, take care of floodplains, and then pursue the beautification project. So the main headline is this India's most ambitious riverfront development project? Now, people in Gujarat are well aware, people in Ahmedabad, absolutely yes. The Sabarmati River had undergone the riverfront development project where the sides of the river, which was often dirty and slum infested for long stretches, was beautified over the course of years, and it has become a very popular tourist spot now. So the Yamuna River, which again has been the bone of contention between the parties which were in ruling power and the opposition which wanted to defeat them in subsequent elections, claims being made that the Yamuna will be first of all cleaned up and then beautified. So let's see how much of an upgrade the Yamuna can get. Below the fold, we have I Spy, Delhi police sharpens surveillance system in digital age. And no strings attached, IIT Delhi manages to transmit secure quantum messages wire free. So those who are interested in deep tech can read the IIT Delhi related news. That would give you a lot of information on technology. Okay. The next page, emotional reunion as first flight with students from Iran lands. In legal notice, Dayanati Maran accuses brother Kalanidhi of fraud, building new identities. Doesn't seem to be very, very relevant, although you can just go through them to see what it is all about. In the business page, the quick look at headlines. RBI eases norms for loans to projects like roads and ports, okay, infrastructure related. Chandra skips TCS annual meet among Air India crisis. Auto companies yet to get nod from China for magnet. Amazon to invest over 2,000 crore rupees in India this year to boost infra. Okay, not much. On the global page, Israel hits nuclear sites, Iran strikes hospital. Okay, so just some update on the conflict going on between Israel and Iran. Excuse me. Okay, and a lot of smaller articles which seem related to that. Okay, the sport page, trial by fire in English summer. Gill and company must overcome fear of failure as a new look India acid test begins. So match between England and India, I guess, in cricket for sports aficionados. And on the last page, again, mainly devoted to sports, we have just opinion pieces and minor updates on things. So no big news there. Which brings us to the end of today's session. As we can see, a lot of articles were having mentions, references to various fundamental rights given to the citizens of India by the Constitution. So law aspirants and even the other exam aspirants would definitely do well in reading upon what are your fundamental rights, which articles guarantee that, what are the important sections and articles from the Constitution, and so on and so forth. With that, I bring this session to an end. This is Satyanarayan calling it a day. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and keep reading news to update yourself with current affairs, vocabulary, and reading comprehension abilities. Wish you all the best. Have a good